Today we're going to be escaping the Nether Bedrock Prison. This one is definitely going to be tough because there is lava everywhere around it, but our goal is to find the Nether portal at the end and light it in order to escape. Now, a couple of the other rules they gave us are that 1, we cannot interact with the striders, and 2, we cannot interact with the ceiling of the Nether. But other than that, pretty much everything is fair game, and I honestly had a ton of fun with this one, so let's jump into it. So starting out here, I was placed inside of the prison, and it was one of those pretty classic prisons, you know, with 1 block above and then 4 blocks to the side of it. So obviously there was nothing I could do to break out of here. Now, first things first, I started to look around in case maybe there was like an item frame on the side with some sort of item. It didn't look like there was anything like that. I also saw this structure over there made also out of bedrock. I assumed that I was probably going to have to get over there in some way, but how exactly was I going to do that? I didn't know at the moment. There's also some stuff over there, but that doesn't look like anywhere we would have needed to go. So again, I knew that I had to get over there in some way, probably with an ender pearl. So with that being said, I just started to click around on the edges to see if maybe there was a chest under the lava, and would you believe it, there was. I was able to get an ender pearl out of that, which is exactly what we needed to get over to the next section. I thought about where I should throw this ender pearl. It looked like there was nothing really on the side of that larger area. Instead, I was probably going to have to go right to the center. It looked like there was a block just out in front of it for us to land on, and conveniently we could aim at this block as well. So I figured that's probably what we had to do, and oh my gosh, I literally landed right on top of the pillar, showing us that there was a hidden crafting table up there. So maybe that was a bit of a plus that we actually barely landed in that area. And then I happened to look up and also see a water bucket. Definitely an odd item. I couldn't get to it quite yet. However, I did have this crafting table, so if I placed that below me, I was then able to get to the water bucket and grab it. Now again, this is a weird item because we're in the Nether. If we place or try to place down water, it's just going to evaporate immediately. So either way, I decided to look around a little bit more. There was that area which seemed to have a cauldron in front of it. I figured that we could put the water bucket inside of that cauldron and then get to what looked like a chest behind there. But I decided to hold off on that idea and look around a little bit more because we have this whole section which obviously led us into this area, and we got a chest out of it. Well, a chest with wheat inside of it. Another really random item. But with that being said, I just decided to break the chest. These types of items are always super useful because we can use them to build. So now we have 2 blocks. The Nether portal was right over here as well, but it looked like in order to build up there, we're going to need more than 2 blocks, because if we only placed the 2 blocks that we had, we wouldn't be able to make it up here. Also, I was told to not break any of the half slabs on the map, so I wasn't allowed to do that. However, once I turned around, I noticed a few interesting things. There was a cow, of all things. Not sure why that was there. And then also some wheat and an egg. Again, really weird items. But with that being said, obviously we need to pick them up. So I first picked up the wheat and then decided to go over to the egg and also pick that up as well, just like so. So again, now we had all these weird items: a water bucket, a crafting table, wheat, a chest, and also an egg. But I couldn't craft anything out of these yet. So I decided to just keep on looking around, see if anything stuck out to me. I looked up to see if maybe I could build up into this area. Obviously, I'm going to need to get up there at some point, but as of right now, there was no way I was going to make it. So again, I just kept looking around and I happened to spot what looked like a weird bit of lava. Like there's lava flowing towards this centerpiece. I thought that was kind of weird. And honestly, they probably hid something under that area. So I started clicking around, and would you believe it, there was a chest with another piece of wheat. Wow. So now we have 3 pieces of wheat. That's not too helpful. Either way, I looked around a little bit more to see if there was any other of those like weird lava things, and there wasn't any of that. So I knew that I probably had to go over to the next area. Luckily, I had a crafting table, so I figured I can probably craft something to get back, or maybe jump on the crafting table. But I knew I would have to use the water bucket trick in order to actually get across. So I decided to just run and jump as fast as I could so I could place the water down and just barely make it across with a couple hearts to spare. But now that I had made it across, I knew that I had to open this chest right here. And inside we had the most items we had ever gotten. 8 oak wood planks, 2 buckets, and also a honey bottle, which is definitely the odd item out. Wasn't sure why we would get a honey bottle out of all of the other items. And also 2 extra buckets was pretty weird. Did they expect us to use or pick up lava with it and somehow use that to get up to the other areas? At this point, I wasn't sure, but I knew that my first point of action was to simply get back to the other areas. I thought about building with the wood, but I was nervous that it would just immediately catch on fire and then I would catch on fire there, I knew that 8 wood planks was the perfect amount to build a boat, at least in bedrock. So I went into the crafting table, crafted a couple of sticks, then crafted a shovel, which finally allowed me to craft an oak boat. So with that being said, I knew that I had to do the MLG trick of jumping on a boat in lava in order to get back to where I started. This part honestly had me really nervous because if I mess this up, I have lost all of the items that I have, acquired so far. But with that being said, I took a deep breath and just decided to go for it. It's definitely an interesting trick, but I was able to make it and just barely survive once the fire finally decided to cool down. Never fun to be on fire in the nether. But sweet, now I was back at the other area with a bunch of brand new items. At this point, I knew I had to do something with all of these weird items that I had gotten. The buckets, the wheat, the egg, the honey bottle. And then it occurred to me, one thing we haven't taken a look at yet was the cow. So yeah, I decided to jump over to the cow and get as much milk as I could with the buckets because I had an idea. If I have 3 buckets of milk here and then also 3 wheat and an egg, maybe I could make a cake. And then it also occurred to me that if you didn't know, honey bottles can be thrown into the crafting table to also craft sugar, which literally gives us all of the items that we needed in order to make a cake, which would also allow us to jump on top of and get enough height in order to actually get up to the nether portal. So with that being said, I grabbed all of the items that I had and ran over to that spot and decided, well, I thought about the order that I should put these in, because if I put the cake first, then I can't break it, and I don't think I can put any items on top of it. So I just decided to go with the crafting table first, then the chest on top of it, and finally the cake on top of that, which gave me the perfect amount of height to get up to the nether portal, where I saw that it was missing a piece, but instead had it right inside of an item frame. So I picked that up and found it, well, pretty odd that they wouldn't put the obsidian inside of the item frame. I figured that that was actually a clue towards something, because if I put it there, then how was I also going to get over to the other area that clearly has other items? I didn't have anything to even light the nether portal, so there was still clearly more to do. I checked the back side of the portal just to be safe. Nothing was there, and then it dawned on me. I was probably going to have to run across, jump, and place a block in order to get up to the secondary area. However, I couldn't get down to my other items down there. Again, if I broke the cake, that would be gone. I wouldn't be able to get it back. So was I really going to have to use the obsidian? I mean, everything pointed towards it, so with that being said, I just decided to go for it. I knew that I had to place the block perfectly, and just like that, I had completed the jump and was now on to the next area. And oh my gosh, inside was a flint and steel and also a sign that said be careful ... Also subscribe, which is actually a good reminder. If you guys are watching this and haven't subscribed yet, definitely do so, and also leave a like if you like these bedrock escape videos. But after that, I looked up and noticed that there was a piece of glass and a wooden block up behind it. Now that also got me pretty nervous, because why would it be behind a piece of glass? I could break it, but then I wouldn't get the glass. It would just be broken. I also looked outside and noticed that I would need 3 blocks in order to jump up to that ladder. So the wood block would be 1, and then the glass piece would also be 2, but I'd also need something else. However, once I looked around a little bit, I found another wood block on top of this piece, which is definitely a tough jump. But with that being said, I knew I was a parkour expert, so I jumped over there, grabbed the piece of wood, and then ran back to take a look at it again. So now I would have had 2 pieces of wood and also a 3rd piece if I was able to get the glass. Although I had noticed that there was this block over here, which definitely implies that I would have to jump to it. So I placed the wood block and then just decided to parkour over there, and there were more blocks on the side which I could parkour across. I had to be careful, but I made it to the last block and found a pickaxe, which when I checked the enchantment on it, it had silk touch, which was literally exactly what I would need in order to get that glass block inside of the other room. So carefully, I went all the way back and parkoured my way all the way to safety, which was also a bit nerve-wracking. I picked up the wooden block and then used my silk touch to grab the piece of glass, and then finally grabbed the last piece of wood. After that, I simply put all of the stuff underneath the ladder, and I was able to climb up it and find another chest, which when I looked inside of it had a final piece of obsidian, which is exactly everything we needed to light the nether portal and escape. At this point, I just wanted to be super careful. I jumped across, placed the obsidian down, lit the portal, and jumped through just like that to fully escape the nether prison. So there you have it, guys. That was the nether prison. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe if you are new to the channel for more videos like this, for more prison escapes, and also check out some of the videos on the screen as well. But again, hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.